Welcome to the Explainer. The US tax code, it can feel like this huge, scary book of random rules, right? But what if I told you it's not random at all? What if there's a specific and sometimes pretty surprising logic behind the whole thing?
And that quote? It's pretty much the key to unlocking how taxes work. See, our gut feelings usually get it wrong when it comes to taxes. And that's because the tax code isn't built on what feels like common sense. It's built on these super objective rules that are designed to give one clear answer no matter how weird your life situation is.
All right, so let's actually put this to the test. We're gonna look at a real-world scenario that happens in tons of households. But the solution, well, almost nobody sees it coming.
Okay, so picture this. A child lives with their parent and their grandparent. Both are helping out with support. So the big question is, who gets to claim the child on their taxes? Your first thought is the parent, right? Of course, it's the most logical choice. But here's the thing. The IRS can't just go with what seems logical. They need a test, a really clear and objective one that works exactly the same way every single time.
So how does the IRS figure this out? Well, they don't ask who the legal parent is or who's doing more of the day-to-day care. Nope, they look at just one number, adjusted gross income, or AGI. You can just think of AGI as your total income minus a few specific deductions.
And this is the rule that makes it all click, the AGI tiebreaker. It's this simple mathematical test that takes a really messy family situation and just boils it down to a clear-cut decision. It completely removes any need for arguments about who should get to claim them. So, in our example, because the grandmother's AGI is higher, she's the one who gets to claim the child. It's a perfect example of how the tax code will always pick a clear, math-based rule over what we might think is the natural way of doing things. Now, this whole tiebreaker thing, it's not just some weird one-off rule. The entire tax system is built on thousands of these super specific rules. And that right there is why filing your taxes can sometimes feel like you're in an interrogation room. Yeah, just listen to what this tax preparer says. Those really personal, sometimes kind of uncomfortable questions they ask, they aren't just being nosy. It's actually a legal requirement. And that requirement is called due diligence. It basically means that if a paid preparer signs off on your tax return without asking all the right questions, they can get in big trouble. They are legally on the hook to make sure you actually qualify for the credits you're claiming. This next example really shows you how deep these details go. So, let's say a father wants to claim his 35-year-old son who was in a really bad accident. Is it enough to just tell the IRS, hey, he's disabled? Well, not exactly. See, the law has a super precise definition. A really bad injury that's going to heal in 6 months, that doesn't qualify. The condition has to be permanent, or it has to be expected to last for at least a full year. And that's why a preparer has to ask for what feels like really sensitive medical info. They've got to make sure it meets the legal standard. And these are some of the most common spots where this due diligence thing is absolutely crucial. Stuff like your filing status, the residency rules, or even your business expenses if you're self-employed. For every single one of these, the tax code has these specific objective tests that are designed to bring some clarity to the messiness of real life. Okay, so the system is complicated. We've established that. But here's the good news. You are absolutely not expected to figure all this out by yourself. Right, this whole system might be built on this maze of intricate rules, but the government also gives you a really powerful set of free tools to help you and your business get it right. Think of these 3 resources as your go-to toolkit. For anything business related, you've got irs.gov/smallbiz. If you're having a problem with the IRS, the Taxpayer Advocate Service is your champion, and they're inside the system. And if your issue is with any federal agency at all, the SBA Ombudsman is the person you call. So, what happens when things really go wrong? When you're stuck in a mess with the IRS that you just can't seem to fix. Well, that's when you call in the big guns, the advocates. Okay, so the Taxpayer Advocate Service, Think of them as your personal guide and your fighter right inside the IRS. They're an independent group, and their whole job is to protect your rights and make sure you're treated fairly. And the best part? Their help is completely free.
And they really get results. This number you're seeing, that's how much in penalties the Taxpayer Advocate Service helped get waived for one small business. They were facing this huge, crippling tax bill because of an error. TAS stepped in, made the case for them, and got those penalties wiped out.
But what if your problem isn't even with the IRS? What if it's another federal agency? That's where the SBA's National Ombudsman comes in. Their job is to be this impartial referee, making sure federal agencies are treating small businesses fairly. And their impact can be, immediate. There was this one case where a small business, a contractor for the Navy, hadn't been paid in over a month. They were really struggling. The Ombudsman's office got involved, found out a simple clerical error was holding everything up, and got that business paid in just a few days. Talk about cutting through red tape. So the big takeaway here is pretty clear. The tax code's complexity isn't just random chaos. It's a system that's built on a specific logic to try and be objective. And when that system doesn't work out for you, there are these powerful, free resources ready to step in and help. And that leaves us with one final thought. The tax code really does try to account for every possible human situation. So instead of being intimidated by all the rules, maybe the best thing to do is to just get curious. Because once you understand the why behind a rule, that's the first step to making the entire system work for you, not against you.